Lisa, I joined a little bit later. You still wanting me to help moderate the chat box?
Yes, if you don't mind helping, that would be awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, so if this is your first time with Zoom, down at the bottom of your screen, there is a chat box that you can see. You can ask questions, you can answer questions, and I also put the slide deck there, the URL. If you don't see the chat for some reason, when I shared my screen, it might take over your entire screen. You can exit full screen mode so that you can do a split screen. So if you, in the upper right hand corner, I can't show you my Zoom screen, but there's a symbol for enter full screen or exit full screen, and that should allow you to split your screen if you would like to have another window open. So what we've got today is we've got the slide deck here. So all you have to do is go over to the chat and copy and paste the link into a new tab. My suggestion, use Google Chrome, the Google Chrome web browser, and then all you have to do is come up here and hit the plus sign and then paste your URL into the Omni box. Google calls where you search on the Google search engine, it's called an Omni box. Here, it's where you put your website. And the website, this address is known as the URL. The URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, if anybody wanted to know that. But once you put it in there, you hit enter, and then you can have access to this slide deck. With this slide deck, then, I did give you rights to comment on here if you would like to. And if you haven't commented before, feel free to play around with that. You won't hurt anything. And then what you can do is you can add this to your drive. So up here, you should have a triangle with a plus sign that you can add it to your drive. It says add shortcut to drive. If you don't see that, and for some reason, oh, maybe I need to confirm that. I had to confirm over here. Here it is, add shortcut to drive. Click on it, and here's where I can add this to my drive so I can access it later. If I want to, I can just put it in my drive and be done with it. If I'm an organized person or think I'm an organized person, whatever it may be, you can come over here and select the folder you have in your drive and put it in there. Think of your drive as a file cabinet, and the folders you have in there are folders that you would have in a file cabinet, and within those folders you can have files. You can even have other folders. If the folder's not here in your drive that you want, you can always go and add a new folder by creating a new folder there. So that's one way. Another way you could do this is come up here to the blue star and bookmark this. You can put this to your bookmark bar if you want. If I do, it shows up right here. If for some reason your bookmark bar is not showing up, then you can come up here to the three dots over here to the right-hand side and go to bookmarks and show bookmark bar. If I have totally lost you so far, take a deep breath. We will help you. Put it in chat what you might need help with, and or we can help you at the end. And you will also have available to you this video recording at the end as well. So again, we're here to differentiate just like we do in a regular classroom. Again, if I stress you out for any reason, you can always mute me or tune me out, whatever your choice is. You can also work ahead in the slide deck. So as you can see, for some of you who did go ahead and look at the slide deck, we are covering a lot of information in 3 hours. Again, this is to introduce you to some of the apps out there. I have given workshops. Some of these workshops here in the past have been 2-3 hours long, just on forums, just on classrooms. So that is possible. We can look at that. I know we've got some more workshops coming up here in June as well to help you. But again, this is just an introduction to these apps that we're going to cover today. Here on slide 1, I wanted to show you, this is a lot of people are creating virtual classrooms for the kids to access different material. And all you have to do is using Google Slides is you can create images here and insert them in here and then hyperlink them. So right here, sorry, my mouse keeps moving it. I can link to the Learning Technology Center page. I can link here to the other workshops that LTC offers. I've got a link to my YouTube channel. I've got a link to the LTC community. So if you Google it, there's lots of other examples out there that teachers are using during this time of remote learning. All right, so I am going to switch back to my work account. All right, so jumping to slide 3 here, here's the sign-in sheet. Again, if you can't access this right now, we can put the link in chat or we can help you after the fact as well. But the sign-in sheet will take you to a Google form for you to fill out. And this just verifies that you're here with us today, then to get your PD hours. So fill this out. So this will be our sign-in sheet that we will provide ISB to coincide with the PD hours that you're getting for today. It's just like a sign-in sheet that if you were physically present here with us, you would fill out when you enter the workshop. I also have here on step 2D and evaluation, it's like 3 questions. If you can answer that, fill that out at the end as well. I would greatly appreciate that. And then again, I put a link here to the YouTube channel. I left the printable PDF file blank here for now. I will add that, but I know that was someone had asked if I could go over how to do that again. So if I forget to do that during the workshop, I can at the end if people are wanting me to review that again as well. So feel free in chat. You can put your name, what you do. We have teachers throughout the ROE1 region with us today, so welcome. We're glad you're here with us and hope you can get something out of today. A couple other things here. I think I skipped over step 3. You will get evaluation from ISB evaluation. That is what, once you fill that out, then that's when you will get your evidence of completion. So again, allow 24 to 96 hours to get that. If you don't, you can either, if you're from Jacksonville, email Kelly, or you can email me and or Erin at the ROE1 office as well. A little bit about myself. My name is Lisa Schwartz. I did teach in the Quincy Public School District for 19 years. I taught 6th through 9th grade and various subjects. 6th grade, I taught self-contained, and then 7th through 9th grade, I taught, again, various subjects. Majority of the time, I did teach computers and computer science with us using Microsoft the majority of the time. I currently work for the Learning Technology Center here in Illinois. We're grant funded through ISB. It's been around for 20 plus years. My main focus is to provide professional development around technology to teachers in the central Illinois area. It's this green area working with 10 ROEs and the school districts within this area here. If you haven't heard of the LTC before, here's talks about the mission on slide 5, and then on slide 6, here's some other opportunities to grow as well. Some online learning and some more workshops if you go to this events page. On slide 7 here, again, we are going to go over these 5 apps here today. It's going to be the tip of the iceberg. So hopefully it will maybe introduce you to them and we'll start you on a journey to learn more about them. Okay, so we will start off here with Google Forms, and you'll see when I'm in the when I'm presenting today right now, I probably won't be in the presentation mode much on the slideshow because I'll switch over to the different apps that we're using. So again, if you know about Google Forms, I put some links in here for you to check out to look, learn about Google Forms, whether it's right now during the workshop or after. But this daily check-in, if you click there, I did like using this in the classroom because you didn't always know how the students were doing. Sometimes you didn't, depending on if the student was an introvert or extrovert, they might not come up and talk to you about how they're feeling. So one day I had a student who was feeling really down. It was very unusual. Well, she went to the Google form and filled it out, and she was saying she was feeling terrible. And while she filled out this Google form, in it she had explained that her pet, her dog, had died. So she didn't want to talk to me about it, but just wanted to let me know. So this daily check-in was an awesome resource to use in the classroom with students. And even, you know, if I know there's some administrators on today here, you know, could you use this with even your staff? Yeah, you could. So this daily check-in there is a great resource and idea that you could maybe use in your own classroom. Does it have to look like the one I put there? It doesn't, but it's there for an example. Another one here's idea for forms, feel the force with Google Forms. So again, lots of different resources out there to take a look at to give you some ideas. I'm going to go ahead and jump to slide 9. If you're brand new to forms, basically to create a new form, there's 4 different ways that I can think of that you can create a new form. That is one great thing with technology. It does help with differentiation. There's multiple ways to do the same thing. I know it might drive some of you nuts, but again, it can help out in the classroom since everyone thinks differently and everyone comes to your class with different experiences and knowledge. So all I have to do to create a form is to come up here and go to the plus sign. I'm in Google Chrome, and I'm just coming to the plus sign to add a new tab. So right here from this tab up here in the Omnibox, I can type in forms.new and I can get a new form. I can type in forms.google. And as you can see, I started typing in forms and it went up forms.new because that's what I usually do. So it kind of remembers how you usually go to forms. Or I can always come over here to the waffle and then I can go down to forms. Again, with this waffle over here, you've got all of these apps here. Your apps may look different than mine. It may be dependent on your school district and what apps they have decided to allow you to use within the G Suite apps for education. So I have forms right here. If I wanted to, I can move my forms here. You can click on these apps and move them and arrange them how you would like. So if I click on forms, it brings up Google Forms. And within Google Forms here, I do have a place where I've got some templates. So right here, if I go into forms.google.com or go over here to the waffle to go to it, I get this template here. It's similar to if you're used to the Microsoft, they've got some templates out there as well. Again, you may see different templates than what I see, and you may have this turned off as well. If you look up here in my template gallery, I've got a general tab and then I have the LTC tab. So if for some reason there's a form that the LTC uses all the time, we can put it out here so it's available in the template gallery. As you can see right here, we don't have any forms for the LTC. But if you go back to general, if you look, exit ticket assessment, this will kind of give you an idea of some other forms you could maybe incorporate into your classroom. One that I used was when I had kids sign up for t-shirt. I use this t-shirt sign up form, and when I click on it, then it will go to my drive. One thing with this, it saves automatically to my drive. I don't have to worry about hitting the save button. And so it's the t-shirt sign up. I can change anything on here. This is a template. It's got name, shirt size. You know, I could put an image of a t-shirt preview here, and then I could have them other thoughts or comments. Just real quick here on this form, I will tell you, I do ask for names on all of the forms that I had the students fill out. And I still do. I would ask for first name and last name. I would do 2 questions. So what I would do down here, even though this was the template, I can still go and edit it. So if I want to put, what is your first name? And then I can put a question mark and it's short answer. Then I can come over here to this plus sign and then I can put, what is your last name? So then there's 2 questions, because sometimes with students or even with adults, if you put what is your name, they may not put first and last name. So I always had it 2 separate questions, so I for sure would get first name and last name. Then, come down here, shirt size, t-shirt preview, and other thoughts or comments. So I'm going to leave this be. I'm going to go back 1 step and show you how to create a new form if you didn't use a template. But just know that even if you use a template, that you have access to changing it and manipulating it wherever you would like to do. So, and then up here, I just changed the name of the file. I just put today's date, so then I know I can go back in and delete this later to clean up my Google Drive. So if I just go to forms.new, or if I went back to the waffle, I would get to this. So forms.new saves me 3 steps. If I know I want a form, I can go right there. So what do I use a form for? You can use a form for a quiz. You can use a form for a survey. You can use a form, just to ask questions. So what's nice about this, then the reason to use a form is then it will take all of the responses and put it in a spreadsheet. So again, I will walk you through this process today and hopefully answer all of the questions you may have. So starting with the form here, Untitled Form, I can put a name, whatever name I want, whether it's a survey. And again, I'm just going to put today's date, knowing that I worked on this for this workshop. And then I can come down here and put a question. If you notice up here that I could put a description under here if I would like. I'm going to skip that for now and jump down to a question. Do you see I put survey 51920? If I come up here and click on Untitled Form, I just clicked on it once. It put this title up there. If I want it, I can keep it. If not, I can change it here as well. Again, you can see right now it's all changes are saved in Drive. If I click on this folder here, it's saving right to my Drive. It's just going there. If I want it in a particular folder, I can put it in whatever folder I want right from here. I can even create a new folder, just like what we did with the slide deck. So then coming back here to the form, Untitled Question, again, I can come over here and type in, what is your first name? And watch when I type in, what is your first name? Watch what happens to this right here. Okay, I didn't change anything here. As soon as I typed in, what is your first name? It automatically changed it to short answer for me. If for some reason I don't want it a short answer, I can always come here and hit the drop-down box or the drop-down arrow, and I get other options that I can go and change it to. But I'll keep short answer. And then this is where the people filling out the form can put their answer. Also, you can see I can put an image in here if I'd like. If I know I'm using the same question over and over again on other forms, I can come down here and I can import questions. So if I click on import questions, it brings up my other forms that I've created out there, and I can click on it, select it, and over here on the right-hand side, it brings up all of the questions from that form. So then I can import them right into this form, so it saves me time. So here I've got, what is your last name from that form? I can click on that. And here's some other questions. If I know I want those questions in this form, all I have to do is click on it. I can click on several, and then I can hit import questions. So voila, it imported this question. It saved me some time in typing out that. It's short answer. Again, I can change that if I need to. Now, as you can see right here, this question has an asterisk behind it or little star. This one does not. The difference here is required. So if you for sure want people, when they're filling out this form, to fill in some of these blanks or some of these questions, you make it required. I will tell you, when I'm first filling out the form, I don't make them required while I'm creating the form. The reason being is when I go up here to preview and I want to look at the form and see what it's going to look like for my students, it gives me a chance to go through the whole entire form without answering the questions. And again, if this doesn't make sense now, hopefully it'll make sense, and you can see the reasoning here as we progress throughout the session on forms. So I'm going to switch, okay, so I put 2 questions in there. You saw me type this one, you saw me import this question from another form. Again, so there's add a question, import question. Again, I can add a title and description above the question if I want. In the form, I can even add images. I can add images here in the question. I can even have images in the answer. I can then come down here and even add a video. So if I want the students to watch a video and then answer some questions, I can put that video in the Google form right with the question, so they don't have to go to multiple different web pages to access the video, to access the questions. I can also add sections. So what the purpose of the section is it lets you break it down. And if you, have a 50 question test and you put 10 questions in each section, again, it allows for differentiation and maybe for students to get overwhelmed by seeing all 50 questions at once. So that section is nice. And this is the reason why with the section, this is why I don't make them required in the beginning, because when I'm previewing this Google form, it won't allow me to go to the next section unless if I answer the required questions. Again, I will walk you through that here in a second. So what's nice about this toolbar as well, it has you, when you go to each question, it follows you along right there. So when I come down here, it comes down here. Now, if for some reason I want to move the order of the questions, I can. Do you see how my mouse right here changes when I'm on these 6 dots? I can drag and drop the questions around on the page as well. I know some people use the Google Forms to do like a breakout room if they don't have the locks, or they can use the breakout room here by putting after section 1 and continue to next section. They can't continue to the next section until they break out of this section of the Google form. So that's another option if you've used Google Forms before too, to go a step further in your knowledge with Google Forms. So I'm going to go to this example right here. So I've got this workshop example. I've got what is your first name, what is your last name. Right now I do have them required. And let me just go ahead and show you this. I've got sections in here, and if I have them required, if I go up here to preview to this it lets me know it's required. And if I scroll down here, it says to go to the next section. If I click on next section, even in the preview mode, it won't let me go to the next section until I have answered those questions, even though I'm just in the preview mode. And I just want to check to see if I have everything right and see what it would look like when people access this Google form. So again, that is the main reason that I don't ask them to be required when I'm creating it. But when I'm done creating it, I do go back in and make it required on the questions that I want to be required. So here on this Google form, I just want to go and show you some different questions you can have. Earlier I showed you did my computer freeze here? Earlier I showed you just the short answer. I want to show you some different questions here. So on this one, here's a linear scale. So I have it set up How many siblings, brothers, and sisters do you have? I've got it set up on a linear scale, 0 to 10. 0, I put none, or 10, I put wow, to have that many. Again, you can decide what goes in these blanks here to the right. So it could be, you know, feeling awesome to feeling terrible. If you're asking a question on how you're feeling today, whatever it may be, this is what a linear scale looks like. So when I get off of the question there, you can see this is what also the students will see. It'll be a bubble here, and then they just mark the bubble. Then when is your birth date? So when I typed in this question, it changed it to date for me over here. So I've got 9 different choices over here I can turn the questions into. I can also have date and time. So with the month, day, and year, it won't let me put any other answer here besides a month, day, and year. Also, I don't know if you're noticing that it's showing an answer key. Any form you create, this was a blank form I started with, any form you create, you can turn into a quiz, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute as well. On this question, what is your school mascot? This is a drop down that they would you know, check, and they can select from, you know, whatever their school mascot is from right here. And so you can just put in whatever the school mascot is. Right here to add an option, just click on it and you can type it in. If you see that you had duplicates or you need to remove one for any reason, you can just come here and click the X and it will remove. Here, this question is asking, what kinds of pets do you have? Again, this is a checkbox. So the reason for a checkbox, in case if there's more than one answer that they want to put here. Again, they can select none. I put all of these here. You can choose what choices to put there that you would like. Again, you can click the X if you don't need a choice there, and you can always go and add another choice. I set it up as checkboxes. If later on I want to change it to a different type of question, I have that flexibility to change at any time. Here, what is your favorite website? So if you are wanting your answer to be a website, what you can do, you can create a response validation. What that will allow you to do is the students won't be able to move forward until they put a website in here. So how did I do a response validation here? Down here, there's 3 dots. If from this workshop, and if you were here with us today, hopefully you remembered 3 things that no matter what app you're working with, to know anytime you see the 3 dots, you see the gear, and or you see the 3 lines like a hamburger, to click on those, and there's another menu of options there for you. So on the form here, if you go to the 3 dots right here, this will show, you can show a description or a response validation. What the response validation does then, it tells me that I want the answer to be a text. And then when I choose the text, I have choices of, do I want it to be a URL, an email address, or I can tell it specifically if it contains a word or doesn't contain a word. So whatever I want, then I can put answer here for, like, please put in a website address, or it contains, you know, something specific. So right here is, you know, a clue of what you would put, of what you're expecting the students to put up here. If you see, when you click on this down arrow here and you go to number, you can see then I have different filters for number than I did for text. So you do have some flexibility here. I will tell you, if you are brand new to forms, it's okay to block me out right now. This response validation, it's another step further. Why am I going over it right now? Because again, I've got varied levels of people's knowledge of technology. So I did want to cover this response validation here in Google Forms. So again, if I go back and put text and I want it to contain a URL, and then I can put, please put a website address here, and that's just me typing it in. You type it in there. So then here in a minute, when I preview the form, you'll be able to see what comes up there. Again, this one here, I can put an image in here, and then right underneath it, I can ask a question, write about your favorite school lunch. Again, I did a response validation here with this paragraph, and I put down the length, a minimum character count of 75. So again, you can test it out when you're in the preview mode to see if they just put pizza or chicken strips. It won't let them submit it until they have met at least 75 characters here in the answer. Again, I can put a custom error text in here as well if they don't get it right. So I could also put that there so that shows up. Again, what is the code for the classroom? If they were doing a breakout room, it's showing the correct answer to me because I created this form. I did the response validation right down here with the 3 dots, response validation. You don't have to, you can just click on that and take it away. But I put a number and I put is number, but again, you have all of these different choices. And then I said, remember, it is 4 numbers. So if they were doing a breakout and they were trying to solve the clues, then they know it's a 4-number digit that they need to put here. I know some people want, to put short answer for certain questions. Again, instead of doing multiple choice, if you did what is the capital of Illinois, short answer text, here's the correct answers, that if they misspell it, that you will accept these correct answers. Again, as you can see, there's different answers here. Did I find all of the correct answers as far as how they may misspell it? I might not have. So again, I just wanted to show you that you could do this. Is this the best way to do this? Maybe not, because then you might have some people type in Springfield, but maybe leave out a different letter. So again, all of the different combinations of how students could misspell a word would be too numerous to put here. But again, I put text contains Springfield. I could put a custom error text here as well if I wanted to. So then once they finish this section 1, so I've added other sections here. I can have them continue to next section, or I could have them go to different sections based off of how they've answered this. So right now I am going to continue to next section. And then right here, I've got another section called multiple choice. I could put maybe multiple choice questions here if I wanted to break it down that way. And then right here, I've created another section. Here's a video that I put in. Underneath the video, then here's a question I could ask based off of that video to see if they really did watch the video. And then again, I just put in some other questions here that are multiple choice. Another thing right here, I know some people are asking their students to submit different photos during this time of remote learning. You could even in a form have them submit photos. You have the option of file upload right here, and then you can allow only specific file types. So, if you wanted a video to be uploaded here, you could select video. If not, on this one, I wanted images, so I put images. Maximum number of files, you can choose 1, 5, or 10. So I'll put 5 that they can upload. And then here's the maximum file size. So you can change that based on what you think the needs are of your students. And then it says this form can accept to up to 1 gigabyte of files. Okay. So then if I go over here to preview, you will see I've got some of these required. So if I look down here, it won't let me go to next until I've answered these questions. Can you answer your own form? You sure can. So if you answered your own form, that's fine. You could always delete it. But so if you went through here and filled it out, and then how many, answer the questions here. When's your birth date? I can just select the calendar and select the date there. What is your school mascot? So this was the drop down. It shows a drop down. What kinds of pets do you have? Again, you can select whichever ones. You can select multiples because that's a checkbox. What is your favorite website? If I put in, I'll just put in the ltcillinois.org. And if you see, watch what happens here. Or you'll see it here in a minute. So I put in that website, write about your favorite school lunch. I'll just put down chicken strips. What's the code of the classroom? Oh, look it. It says must be at least 75 characters. So it won't, when I go to next, it won't let me go to the next section until I've answered this correctly. If I look back up here, it says please put a website address. It wants the full website, not just part of it. So I have to go back. I can either copy and paste it and put it in, but as soon as I put that in, then that went away, and so that's acceptable. So right here, then I would have to write about the chicken strips. What's the code for the classroom? If I put that number in, what's the capital of Illinois? Let me just put this in, and I'll show you. Let's see. I'm just going to see if I can copy and paste some words here real quick. Okay, so as long as I have enough words here for 75 characters, it's going to go. Here it says, what's the capital of Illinois? It says must contain Springfield. So do you see what the difference is? I spelled Springfield right? It looks like it. Anybody notice why it's not letting me move on? It's not, it is case sensitive, so I need to have a capital Springfield. So I would have to put that in my validation. I would need to have a small s for one of the answers. Here, oh, it didn't like this. Please put a website address in. It didn't like that address. So it looks like I had maybe an extra space. Let me see if I can go next. Okay, so then it's letting me go next. So I had that right. So then hit next. I didn't have anything under multiple choice. And then it brings this up. So when I'm watching a video, all I have to do is click on the video and I can play the video from Forms. What's nice about that is it won't show ads. It won't show other videos at the end. And then I can add files here. And then when I'm done answering all this, I can submit. So if I hit submit right now, it lets me because I didn't make those other questions required. So then if I go back up here to my original one, it shows then I've got 4 responses. 4 people have responded to this form. But once I've gone through the preview and I like how it is, then I can go back here, go to each of the questions and make them required. So now if you saw, I have total points 3. So if you want this to be a quiz and be worth points and have it graded for you, then you can turn it into a quiz. So where does all of that magic happen? So up here I showed you preview, and then we've got this icon here called settings. Again, anytime you see a gear on any of the apps that you're using, know that you can click on that and to have other options. So under settings, I have 3 tabs here. I've got a general, I have presentation, and I have quizzes. So here's general. I can have it collect email addresses if I want. Can I put in the question myself? I can. It saves you a step if you want to put it here. Do you want to restrict it to users just within your own Google domain? You can set that up there if you would like. And then also here, limit it to 1 response. So if you only want the students to go through this form once, or parents or other students or staff members to do a survey once, make sure you click that limit to 1 response. If you don't mind how many times they take this, complete the form, you can take that off. But if they do if you do have this on and they try to go to the form, it'll just say, hey, you've completed this form already. If you need access to it again, contact the owner. And then once the students submit the form, what do you want them to do? Do you want to allow them to edit after they submit? Again, if it's a quiz, you might not, but if it's a survey, you may allow them to edit after submit. If not, make sure you just don't have that checked. Do you want them to see the answers and the summary and text responses of how everyone else answered on the form? Again, if it's a quiz, you might not want to, but again, if it's a survey and you want to share the data with everyone, yeah, you can turn that on. So you do have those options. And then when you do have the, when you do mark a question to upload a file, you do have control over the maximum size of all files uploaded. If you don't use that option, this will not be there. Okay, so that's under general. Under the presentation tab, we've got, this is where you can show the progress bar. So then, you know, if they're taking a quiz or a survey, they can see how much, how far along they progressed, or how much farther they, how much more they have to complete. You can shuffle the question order. So again, when we're back in the classroom and kids are sitting next to each other, if you don't want all of the kids to have the same question at the same time, you can click that on there as well. Another thing here, the confirmation message, once they submit the form, you could record a response. You could tell them, okay, now that you've submitted it, move on to chapter 24, or here's a link, go to this website, read about, you know, whatever the next assignment is. You can put a response here that will pop up on their screen once they press submit. And then quizzes. This is where all the magic happens here. So, you know, if I just started off making this a blank form, that's fine. You can turn any form that you created into a quiz, or you can turn the quiz off. All you have to do is click this button right here, and that's how you make it a quiz, or you turn off the quiz. Now, you can have the option with Google Forms to lock their Chromebook while they're completing this form. The purpose of that is similar to map testing or some of the other testing that the students do, that it locks the tabs. They can't go to another tab while they're in the test. Same thing. They can't go to any other tabs while they're taking this form. This will only work if it's on managed Chromebooks issued by your district. So, you know, during this time of remote learning, I know some kids are using their own devices and not using devices managed by the district. You will want to make sure that this is not turned on, because they won't be able to access the form if you turn the locked mode on Chromebooks. It'll come up with a message saying you can't access this, and they've got to be on a managed Chromebook from the school district. Right here, releasing grade. You can release grade immediately after each submission or later after manual review. So it can grade if you have some multiple choice questions in there. It can grade those, but if you have a paragraph for them to answer, you can grade that, and then you can release the grade after you graded that. Also right here, respondents can see, what do you want the students to see once they get their form back? Do you want them to automatically see the questions they missed? Do you want them to see the correct answers and or point values? So again, you have choice for each form you make to come and decide how you would like that to look. And then once you've got this all set up, you can go to save, and then it's ready to go. So, you know, if you like the preview and everything, then you can go back if you want to. Go back and come down here and make it required. If for some reason you see a question you don't want to ask anymore, you can just click on this trash can and hit delete. Or if you like this question and you're going to ask a similar question again, maybe you want the same answer choices but a different question, you can duplicate this question. It duplicates, and then you just have to go up and then put in the new question that you want here. A couple other things here with Google Forms. I've got the paint palette here that I can change my theme. And then I also have this puzzle piece. This is add-ons. You may or may not have this. It depends on if you've added any add-ons on Google Forms. So to share this out, I can go to send, and I can share it via email. I can copy and insert a link and share it out through Google Classroom. I can embed it. I can also add collaborators. So if another teacher and I are working on this, again, I can add collaborators to this that we could edit this together. And then we've got 3 more dots up here. So go to those 3 dots, and then you've got some other choices. So you can undo anything you've done here. You can go to make a copy. As you can see, you can also add collaborators here. So as you can see, there's multiple ways to do some of the same things within Google Forms. So again, if you're brand new to Google Forms, this is a lot to take in. Just know that if you go back to the slide deck here, you've got some examples to look at. Click on those links to give you some ideas. And then I also put in here some more information here on the slide deck that you can look at. All right, take a deep breath here, and any general questions about Google Forms?
I haven't seen any come in on the, oh, there comes one. Can a graded quiz have the points imported into Google Classroom?
Okay, good question. I don't know, we can maybe try that out here in a minute. Does anybody know for sure? Okay, so Mary's saying yes, believe so. So when you put this into Classroom, so let's just, when you put in forms into Classroom, the grade should then appear there in Classroom as well. And Mary, do you want to unmute and speak on that?
I can. We haven't been able to use it in this remote time, but during the school year, it would automatically connect to my Google Classroom.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So when you, as long as you added it here into, I'm trying to think if I have any forms in this. I've got one there, but I've got to sign in.
When you add the Google form as a quiz in your classroom, when they're finished, you have to click the import scores and then they come in. Otherwise, you can't see them.
Okay, that's good to know, Sarah. So maybe can stay on after and we can walk you through that process.
Sure, I'd be happy to help.
Okay, you'd help out, Sarah? Thank you.
There's a couple more. Is it possible to assign the quiz to only one student or just a few students?
Yeah, if you assign it through Google Classroom, you sure can. So again, if you want to stay on, we can talk about Google Classroom a little bit more. And I think Sarah said she'll walk us through the process of importing the grades as well. It's a great question.
Another question, can a Word document be integrated into Forms?
Yeah, great question. It can. There is an add-on that you can do a Google Doc to Forms, but what we found, you don't really need to use that add-on. You can just go to Docs and copy and paste. We tried it both ways. We didn't see a shortcut versus one way or the other. So the workaround basically is just copying and pasting it, and then it puts the question and your choices right there in the question for you on the form. So you could use the add-on, but again, we tried both ways. We didn't see one way being quicker than the other way. You could just, once you created the question, just copy and paste the question here, copy and paste your answers, and then they put it right there, A, B, C, D for you. So yeah, it's just copying and pasting, quick and easy. Okay, so with this form then, so as you can see up here, I have 4 responses. So I can click on responses. This tab gives me some more information here. So I can see a summary of how people have answered the questions. I can see the frequently missed questions. I can see the scores. It shows if I've released the score, not released it. And it's got it individualized by question. So that's one way to look at all of the answers to this form. I can go question by question. So here's question 1. Here's it saying it's an ungraded response. I could add feedback if I wanted to here as well. When I want to go to the next question, I can just click on this arrow here. It goes to question 2 of 14, 3 of 14. So I can always go back here and look, and you can see some people left it blank. I didn't make it required. So if you for sure want students to answer the questions, make them required so that they don't accidentally forget to answer them, because it won't allow them to submit it if the questions are required, and so then they can't miss them. I can also click here individual and see the individual responses to see how this person responded here, and can look at it like that. Now, I can see, I also have this drop down arrow here. I can see the different responses. Response 1 and 2, this was just me previewing it. If I come back up here to this, the sheet icon, I can click on this and it takes it to a sheet. Before I get there, let me show you one other thing. So if I put this in classroom and I want the kids to take this form by a certain day or time, or it's a survey, if I don't want them to take it after a certain day or time, I can turn this off and it won't accept responses. It won't let them complete the form. They will get this message, this form is no longer accepting responses. Could I put a different message here? I could. So all I have to do is come over here and turn this on or off if I want to stop accepting responses. One other thing with this form, if for some reason I want to use this new form year after year, I could delete all these responses here and still use the new form. If I wanted to, I could get an email notification for anytime this was a new response was submitted, or I could always come here and look. I could unlink this form, I could download all my responses to a CSV file, or I could print all the responses. So again, the 3 dots, you have more options here. But I'm gonna move on here to going to Sheets. If I click on View Responses in Sheets, it brings up my responses here in Sheets. It gives the timestamp of the date and time that they completed this form. If it was a quiz, it shows me the score. I've got each of these columns here has the question and then the answer. So as you can see, if I keep scrolling over, it's got the questions and the answers here. And then right here, when it's a paragraph, it just, if there's nothing else here in column O, it'll go there. If not, this one I had put enter, I had copied and pasted this. So that's why it's on several different lines right there. So then if you are working with other teachers in a PLC meeting and you can see, okay, all of my students, or majority of them, got question F wrong. What is the capital of Switzerland? So then I might have a conversation to, with another teacher in my PLC. Okay, I see that all of your kids got this question right. Maybe then have a conversation about teaching style or the content or material that you are covering. So again, it's kind of with these forms, it gives you the data immediately to have on a spreadsheet. You don't have to enter anything in, and you can evaluate that and hopefully then help you and your students with the material. So again, if you haven't used Sheets before, again, for some reason with Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, any spreadsheets, that might cause more anxiety in people because it's just a tool that they don't use that much. But again, this turns a form directly into a sheet for you. You don't have to do anything except by clicking on the green icon for the Google Sheet. If you see right here, I did conditional formatting here. So what conditional formatting does is it kind of brings to your attention the answers. So if I wanted to highlight the ones that were right in a certain color and the ones that were wrong in red, so I can see how many were wrong rather than just looking at the answers, I could do that, especially if I have a spreadsheet here that has hundreds of answers. So quickly, I'll show you this spreadsheet. This is the form that people fill out to, that people fill out to sign in. And I'm trying not to show names here. So real quick, when you're first signing in, you're letting me know if you're a newbie or you're solid. So I've got, so I can kind of tell who's in my audience of teachers here of, are they brand new to some of the apps out there, or are they solid, and or, did anybody put down that, let me teach the workshop? Then I'll try to hone in on those teachers to help others, and then maybe come up and show some examples or talk as well. So to do conditional formatting, all I have to do is, I always forget which one it's under. It's under format and conditional formatting right here. So I can choose the colors that I want. I went ahead and did it for the whole spreadsheet. So if you see right here, I'm just only in cell A1. So it will only do the formatting on this cell. So let me go back to this one here and set up and show you this one. So with this conditional formatting here, I've got it set up where if the text contains burn, I want it this color. So how did I do that? I'm going to click on this and show you. I applied the range F2 to F41. I can go longer if I want, but I just know if I know I have about 30, 35 students in a class, then I should be safe on selecting F41. So then as they fill it out, it will change color based on their answer. So right now, I've set it up, format rules, text contains, and if the text contains burn, then I want it to be this color, and I chose the color that I have there. Now, if I'm okay with that, I can just click done and move on. But if I want to just change the color real quick, I can hit change the color. It changes automatically, and right now you can see it. So I can hit done. Then I added another rule here. I added if the format cells, if the text contains Paris. Paris was another choice on that answer or that question. And so if they select Paris, I chose this color. Again, I could put a red if I wanted it to, stand out to let me know, okay, this is how many reds. So again, will hopefully tell me how I'm doing as a teacher and, conveying some of the information with the students. And maybe that will let me know I need to go back in and focus in on that question more with the students in the future. So I can have several rules here on one spreadsheet. Again, it depends on, if you want to do it by column, by the question, or whatever you need at that time. But you set these up on each spreadsheet that you use. If I go back here to the slide deck, so again, I'm going to go over how you can do some basic operations and charts within a spreadsheet as well. And then also, I did include this ideas for sheets. So if you're, again, new to the G Suite apps, on this idea sheet, this was created by Lisa Highfill, and the template designed by Genevieve. But here's a way, this is called a hyperdoc. I don't know if you've heard that term before, but how people can give more choices in the classroom. So if a student likes to watch to learn, they can watch a YouTube video that we've added there. If they like to learn by reading, there's links here that they can read about how to do this. So on this one that Lisa created here, this is infusing Google Sheets. And if this was something for students to use, what she's got it set up is the level 1 is a lighter green, level 2, this color green, and then the level 3, a little bit darker green. So it could give your students choice. You could let them know that they need to, select 1 from level 1, 1 from level 2, and maybe 2 from level 3. It might be varied on the ability levels. again, this would be easy to use if you have to differentiate in your class, if you've got some students that you have to follow an IEP that, you know, you might ask them, suggest, you know, to do level 1, but maybe challenge them with a level 2. It depends on how you've set it up. But with the HyperDoc and with this format, that's how you can use with the different colors. So again, don't mean to stress anyone out there and for you newbies, but here's another way you can take some of your work to the next level and give more choice in your classroom. So feel free. And then again, with this, you can, it's linked to different information. So you can hyperlink within this. It's a Google Doc, but they created this. And again, Genevieve created this template. And what's nice about this is these templates, as long as you give credit to who created it, you can use. You don't have to recreate the wheel. So if you're a big proponent of using Teachers Pay Teachers, my suggestion before you go to Teachers Pay Teachers and purchase things, see if there's other resources out there on the web that you can use for free as long as you give credit to where they came from. And if you need help in finding some resources, let me know. And I can help with that as well. So feel free, if you already know about Sheets, take a look at that link there while I'm going through the rest of the information on Sheets. Here on slide 15, there's another thing that Google has. They've got, it's called Easter eggs that they may have throughout some of the apps, kind of some fun tools that you can use. So one Easter egg here that they've got available is when you're in Sheets. So if I just go to Sheets right now, again, I can go to the waffle. I can come up here and type in sheets.new. And I can get a blank sheet here. If I type in the word pride, but type in a letter in each cell here, you can see then what happens. It turns the whole spreadsheet this color. Again, why does it do that? On the back end, someone programmed it to do that. Someone likes that, but they don't want the word pride there. What you could do, you could come up here and hide row 1 so that you still have your spreadsheet looking like that color, the various colors here, color scheme, but you just don't see the word pride. So I challenge you to go find out some other Easter eggs throughout, whether it's Google Chrome or some of the different apps that they have out there. Just some fun tools. I'm sure if you Google's Easter eggs, you can find a lot of different things out there. So just wanted to share that with you as well. Right here on slide 16, I have a link to a sample gradebook. So on the sample gradebook here, I want to go through. It should allow you to make a copy of it, so then you can work alongside me if you'd like to, or go back and do this later. And with this here, I want to show you how to do some formulas and then to create a chart. So if for some reason you've got, data, whether it's test scores from your own classroom or map test, whatever it may be, we want to find the average test score of these students that we have. So again, this freaks some people out about using sheets and using formulas, but hopefully some of these tips here will help you become more comfortable. If I come up here to the function tool and I go to average, so I want to find the average of Maria's test scores. So it says equals average, so it does it for me. I don't have to remember the formula. I can do a couple different things. I can come over here and highlight what I want in the formula, and it says equals average B2 to E2. And then I just have to hit enter. And voila, it gives me the answer. Well, is my formula still there? It is. I click back on F2. If I come up here to the formula bar, there's my formula. So I can take a look at it there. If I want, I can double click back on it and it shows me the formula. It shows me what data is included in that formula, and then it shows me the answer there. So if I wanted to, I could come up here every time and go to average, highlight it, and then put it in. So that's about 3 extra steps. Well, a shortcut to that, if I know I want the average for all of this, do you see this fill handle here in the bottom right-hand corner? And when I hover over it, it changes my mouse from the pointer to a plus sign. So then what I do, I hold down my mouse and I drag it down and magic happens. Okay, so I call it magic, but it's really just on the back end, they've got it programmed there. So if you look right here, if you don't believe it, double click on it and it puts average B5 to E5. If I hit enter, go to the next one, click on it, it changes it based on the fill handle here to the average, the row and the column it is in. So voila, with a simple click of your mouse, by dragging it down, it will fill it there. Now, if I have the average wrong up here from where I started, then it will be wrong everywhere else. It will be based off of the original one that I took it from, that I did the fill handle. So it's right here, and then drag it down, okay? So now, once you have all of this data, do you want to create charts with it? Sometimes, you know, I could do some conditional formatting, but I'm a visual learner. I want to see this data in a chart. So what I can do, highlight what I want in the chart. So let's say I want to have the names in the chart and the averages. So anytime you want to highlight two columns that aren't next to each other, you hold down the Control key. If you're on a Mac, it's the Command key. So I highlighted column A, just click on A, then come over here, hold down my Control key, and click on column F. When I do so, then I can come up here and hit Insert Chart. I can do it from here. I can do it from up here as well. Again, multiple ways to do the same thing. You just do what you get used to or what's easiest for you. And voila, it shows me a chart. This is the one they suggest. If I don't want the scatter chart, I can choose whichever one I want by coming over here and hitting the down arrow, and it gives me a list of other charts I can choose from. But let's say I'll keep that one. Again, it's got the average on the y-axis and the name on the x-axis. Again, if I like that, I can keep that. If not, I can manipulate it over here as well. It's in my chart editor. So what if I accidentally close out of that and think, oh, how do I go and edit my chart? Again, don't panic. There's a couple different ways to do it. The main thing, just click on the chart and come up here to the three dots. You can go back and click on edit the chart, and you can get the chart editor back. Again, if you go back to these three dots here, I could delete the chart. I could download the chart if I needed to for some reason. I could go and publish the chart, copy it, move it to its own sheet. So let me show you that one. If I move it to its own sheet, I click on it, and voila, I've got the chart. And now I'm panicked. What happened to my spreadsheet? Again, don't panic. Come back here to your sheet. You've got your spreadsheet with all of your data still there. If I just come down here to chart, I've got my chart there. I can name this chart by clicking on that down arrow and renaming it. I can change the color, protect it, I can hide it. So if this is a file I'm sharing with someone and I don't want them to see some data, you know, whether it's on another spreadsheet or a chart, I could hide that. I could, you know, move this to the right or left, or I can even drag it and move it to the right or left. So again, a lot of things you can do. If I want to come here and make another chart, again, I'm just highlighting the column I want, hold down my Control key, and then highlight another column if they're not right next to each other, and go up to Insert Chart. And this time it put it in a bar graph here for me. Again, if I like that, I can keep it that way. If not, or I said a bar chart, a column chart, you can change it to a different chart here if you would like. So if you see here, you got some other, you can customize it, or you can just go back here to setup. You've got a lot more choices. And then again, when you're clicking on it, I can move it. I can keep it right there on the same spreadsheet if I want. It's up to you. You've got all of these choices that you can do. So we went over how to do a formula. So if for some reason I needed the sum instead of the average, I would just select sum, okay? So up here in the function tool. Again, it's up here as well. Is it it's under insert function as well. Another thing here with spreadsheets, so sometimes you're keeping track of a list or anything. What I like under insert checkbox, you can put check boxes in a spreadsheet here as well. If I just use a fill handle, it copies the check boxes down, and then all I have to do is, you know, click the check or click the box and it puts a check in it. So insert check boxes, you have that. You can, if you have something in the drawing, you can insert a drawing here as well. But the main thing I wanted to show you sheets with is that when you are completing a form, know that it puts all of that data into a spreadsheet for you. And hopefully you won't be hesitant to go ahead and dive into all of that data to look at how your students did on an exam, and then if you compare it with another teacher. All right. Any questions or comments about sheets? Now, again, sheets can be another 2-3 hour long workshop. It could be almost an entire semester of classwork as well. We could get into it more in depth. I just wanted to go over some of the few basic things that would help you with looking at the data from your form. So feel free, again, put down any questions in the chat. We can either answer now or answer at the end as well. Okay. So seeing there's no questions then, and I know there's a few things in chat, but Kelly will interrupt me if there's anything specific to go over. I am going to go over Google Slides. We will take a 10-minute break or so here in a little bit as well. So let me go ahead and talk about Google Slides, or let's see, what time is it? 1:15. You know what? I think before I get into Google Slides, let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break here. We'll reconvene at 1:25. For some of you, this will give you a chance to maybe play around with forms and sheets so that maybe at the end of our workshop, you'll have some questions. When we come back in from this workshop, then we will talk about Google Slides and Gmail and Calendar. So feel free to, you can turn off your camera at this time if you'd like, or I'll get started back again at 1:25.